From WHYY and Billy Penn, it is Hittin season. Hey there, podcast pals. I'm John Stolnis from The Good Fight and Billy Penn. You can follow me on Twitter at John Stolnis. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more Phillies spring training. Zack Wheeler shoved on Monday, and we'll talk about the offense a little bit. How's the center field battle going? How's Johan Rojas looking? Is there a possibility he doesn't make this team? And we'll talk a little Taijuan Walker as well. Plus, we do this every year around this time, a couple weeks before the start of the regular season. We'll tell you who we think the best teams in the league are through our snake draft. We'll each pick teams, we'll take turns, and at the end of the season, we have one of our fans, Paul, will actually tally up the win totals and tell us who won. So I'm glad that someone is invested in it, because I'm not even sure we are all that invested in it. But we're going to do that at the end of the podcast, and Liz will give us another name from her Where Are They Now list. So a full docket here on episode 789 of Hittin Season. Joining me, Justin Klugh and Liz Roscher. Justice, of course, Justin, of course, from Baseball Prospectus. I combined Justin and Prospectus. And I think you should too, Justin, moving forward.
No, I'm ready. I would like you to. I will only be addressed and respond to Justice.
As Justice. You can follow him on Twitter at Justice_Klugh.
Yeah, it just and with Klugh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Justice Klugh.
Exactly like a cartoon.
You're a Marvel
detective.
character.
That's exactly what you're going to name your child if you don't want to name him after you and you want to confuse everybody.
Justice Klugh. People will not know what's coming.
Well, yes, they will. It will be Justice.
It will be Justice. Justice is coming for you. That's what they'll say. Anyway, how are you doing?
Watching the Phillies today, I think we kind of got an answer to a question we asked earlier in the preseason, which was, what's it going to look like when they're trying to win an exhibition game, if they really are trying to do that? And I think I'm serious. I think at the last inning today, you kind of saw the difference in as they kind of built that rally down to just 2-0, right?
2-0.
Yeah. And they were kind of starting to get guys on base and working some walks. And there was a point where third base coach could have sent somebody, but they played it a little more conservatively. And they wound up getting one run in, and then De La Cruz struck out to end it. And they just played it a little too, to win. And then it cost them. And so I think we just saw, we were asking what that was going to look like. And I think you saw an instance of that today, where he wasn't just like, yeah, it's spring training, just go.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He was like, no, hang on, we're going to try something here.
I think what we're really going to see. It did not work. No, it did not work. I think what we're going to see is like the last week of spring training. Like the starters are going to get a lot of playing time. Like you might see 4 at-bats for some of these guys, especially since none of them are really hitting all that well right now. Like they're outside of Trey Turner, no one expected to be in the starting lineup is hitting worth the gosh darn right now. So, we'll see. But anyway, Liz Roscher is also with us from Yahoo Sports. Follow her on Twitter at Liz Roscher. Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm good. I'm wondering if no matter what the Phillies do, this is just doomed to be how their spring is always.
Kind of crappy?
Yeah, like didn't this happen?
Yeah.
We've seen instances of this where they just do not hit. We're like, once they get to, once it all starts, they'll just launch right into it. And then they lose like 9 of their first 10. I'm just wondering. I don't think that is a forever thing, but I'm just wondering if Phillies spring training is always meant to be just a little disappointing. Is spring training in general just a disappointing concept?
Would you have been less disappointed if they won that game today?
No.
There you go.
There you go.
And I think they feel the same way. They don't really care either.
No.
But I think they will. I think like we said, as the starters play a little bit more, as the starting pitchers go 5 or 6 innings in some of these starts here towards, as they're building up their arm strength, we'll start to see them maybe start to play to win even more than we saw here in a game on Monday. But I think you're right. I think they were really trying to pretend like it was a real game, regular season situation. And I think, we've seen the Phillies do that very thing in regular season games where they fail to get those runners in when they need to.
Yeah, it's not like playing that way. It eliminates the possibility that you're going to lose. That's not really what that means.
Exactly. So, well, I did think the game, watching Zack Wheeler pitch in this game on Monday, this was the first time I'd really gotten a chance to take a look at the splitter. Oh my gosh. That thing, like he's never thrown this before really in a game, and that thing was, I mean, that's going to be
beautiful.
It's incredible. I mean, that against left-handed hitters, I don't know what you do against Zack Wheeler. I mean, that's some Spencer Strider stuff right there, the way that thing dove to the ground. And he talked about this. This could be the pitch that wins me a Cy Young. Yeah, I can see that, Justin. I can see that because, I mean, that thing looks like it's coming right there, and it just dropped off a table. If he's mixing that in with the sweeper that he mixed in last year, and then he's still got the plus fastball. Yeah.
Hey, and whatever's trendy this year, like you said, the sweeper last year, you know, he's not above that. Yeah, I don't know. He got the extension, and it was just like, all right, now I can pitch for real. Finally, here, guys, check this out.
I love that. I love that idea. He's like, all right, now I've got the real freedom.
Right.
I've got the real freedom. I got the money.
I would have been just underhanding it all spring training, like I don't know, just kind of tight.
Just float it. Just float it. That's right.
As far as like no offensive contributors really looking like they're ready to contribute,
ready to hit the playoffs already, guys.
Wheeler today in his latest appearance, really, he took some of that heat off. It felt like it was like, oh wow, we are looking at somebody who looks like he could be pitching in May right now.
Yeah, and Mick Abel had a nice cameo appearance. He's looked good so far this spring. Struck out Juan Soto, struck a couple of guys out with Soto out on a high fastball, and then struck another guy out with a painted fastball in the outside corner. So far this spring, he's looking very good, and the hope, of course, is that he can take that into Lehigh Valley with him and string together a number of good starts. And with Taijuan Walker's health kind of, I don't know, the velocity way down on Taijuan Walker. I'm not saying they certainly don't want to rush Mick Abel to the majors, but if he keeps pitching like that, he's not going to need more than a half a dozen starts in AAA for people to start getting a little bit antsy about it, because he looks good.
He does look good. I think whatever he has to do to avoid more dugout interviews, I think would be great for all of us, because that was a low point of the day for me. He did look pretty thrilled. He looked pretty thrilled to be doing it. He looked thrilled to have come through and looked so good. Striking out Juan Soto right now is hard to do.
Yeah.
Like, he was a strikeout machine last year, but his numbers in spring are ridiculous. Yeah, he's hitting 500. His on-base percentage is 550.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he's got 18 at-bats, 6 runs, 9 hits, a double of 4 home runs. Like, it's tough to get him out right now, and Mick Abel was able to do it.
Abel challenged him too. That was he just told him, just hit this. Go ahead. It's going to be right where you can get it, and he couldn't get it.
Yep.
And it looked like it had a nice rise on it. The fastball kind of had a nice rise on it. I mean, they don't actually rise, but it had it was like it's what they call that rising fastball. It just seemed to explode through the zone, and it was like 95 miles an hour. I think that's a good velocity for him.
Ooh.
So that very encouraging signs from those two guys. Again, the offense not doing a whole lot here. And I did kind of want to focus in on the Johan Rojas talk about center field and stuff, and we were kind of wondering what would he need to do in order to not make it north with the Phillies. And I would say, Christian, we might be seeing it.
We might be.
Because he really has not, even the contact that he's made has not been good contact. And there was something that Rob Thompson said that made me think he actually might need AAA. Like, he's working on these different swing changes, but he's saying something like his lower half isn't caught up yet to like his upper body. Like, there's some actually fundamental swing issues going on with Johan Rojas right now that is probably better worked out outside the glare of the major leagues, where you can actually not have to worry about producing at the plate. And even if you're a 9-hole hitter, you don't want to be hitting 180. You know what I mean? Unless you're hitting 40 home runs like Kyle Schwarber is, and that's not in Johan Rojas's future. So when
Rojas is hitting 161 right now.
Yeah,
not even 180.
Schwarber hit a home run this spring.
No,
so I think they have the same number of home runs at the moment.
I'm just projecting. Maybe I'm projecting a little bit into the season here. But I wonder if he's losing the center field job to start the season anyway, just simply because of the things that he needs to work on at the moment. Rob Thompson said he's still a work in progress. you know, Rojas, I guess, through Sunday, coming into the day, Rojas was 5 for 31. But it's not like some of the other options are tearing it up either. Pache, after a hot start, is just 4 for 15. He's got the 2 home runs, but hasn't done a whole lot outside of that. David Dahl is actually playing pretty well. I think he might be starting to edge out Jake Cave for that left-handed bat on the bench. I know you guys talked about that on a recent episode. Dahl's got an 886 OPS and 2 homers. Cave is a 647 coming into Monday's game. And you have Whit Merrifield. You signed him for a reason. And I wonder right now, Liz, are the Phillies a stronger outfield with a starting 3 of Merrifield, Marsh, Castellanos, or with Marsh, Merrifield, Rojas, Marsh, and Castellanos?
What?
So
there's a lot of names.
You're playing Marsh and Whit Merrifield in left as a pseudo platoon. Mm-hmm. You're playing Rojas and Marsh in center. So again, like when Marsh plays, when Rojas plays, Marsh moves to left. When Marsh plays center, Merrifield plays left, and Castellanos in right field. So it's kind of like you got a platoon there, but you're keeping Rojas in the mix for his defense for the most part. Or do you send Rojas to AAA and just go Merrifield, Marsh, Castellanos to start the season at this point right now?
I think they'd be stronger with just no platoons. Merrifield, Marsh, Castellanos. I think Rojas has been really focused on winning a job, and I love that for him. And for some guys, that motivates them, and it's certainly motivating him, but I don't know if it's motivating him in the right way, because it seems like he's having some trouble. And I think you're right, like having him away from the glare, away from the pressure of having to win a job while playing in front of fans. I think he just needs some time. He just needs some time with less pressure, you know? I think he would say, like, I got all this experience with the Phillies last year. And, like, you didn't really get all that much. It's a long season in the majors, man.
Yeah, and Justin, getting sent down to start the season, I mean, they certainly will want to bring him up as quickly as he's able to come up. But having Whit Merrifield allows you the opportunity to send him down to kind of get his lower half lined up with his top half. And I guess the only question I would have is, would it be better for him to stay in the majors and work with Kevin Long, or to go down to the minors and work with the minor league coaches? At least now it feels like the minors and the majors guys are at least speaking the same language, whereas like 3 years ago, I don't know that would have been the case.
Sure. I think that that's what this time is for. You know, he's getting a lot of the big league time that he was slotted to get. And the way this was set up for us, and as our understanding has been, the Phillies were like, hey, you have a job if you can win it. And he was like, great. And he spent all winter, you know, on the Dominican League working on his hitting, and then came up, and yeah, it hasn't been great. So you're kind of missing that you got to win it part of getting the job, and he hasn't done that. I don't know. My assumption is that the Phillies really wanted him to win it. They were going to give him everything he needed to win it, and obviously he would want to win the job too. But this really ultimately starts to feel like the more likely outcome, because based on what Liz is saying as well, you never know what's going to be in a guy's head in this position. He's like one of the only guys who's fighting for a position right now. He's playing with a bunch of guys who have their jobs lined up. So he may just not like have it this spring. And going down to the minors is not the worst thing in the world. It seems like it was a pretty likely outcome to this situation. And that's the whole point of getting Merrifield, I thought.
Yeah. Was
that there's enough depth here now to cover that. You still have Pache, and you still have like other options. And Marsh's knee is still supposed to be healed by opening day. So that was kind of the point. Like, we have the luxury of enough coverage here that we can hope this guy works out. And if he doesn't, it's not a disaster.
And I think it's important for everybody to remember, too, Rojas has never played a game in AAA. He went straight from AA to the majors last year. So it would not be crazy to think that some time in AAA would do him good. I pushed back on that. Well, it certainly seems like he does right now. I mean, but I was really pushing back on that quite a bit, I think, before spring training started, simply because of his defense and what an unbelievable asset that is. But like you mentioned, Justin, if Marsh's knee is okay, he's good in center. He's certainly not an elite defender in center. Christian Pache is a very, very good, almost elite center fielder and can play there anytime. And so you can, if you want that defense for a day or two, you can have him in center, have Marsh in left, and have Whit Merrifield be your bench guy like you had thought. And Pache right now probably does offer you a little bit more with the bat than Johan Rojas does. So I'm kind of coming around to this right now too. I thought he'd be a little further along. I thought we'd see a little bit more from Rojas here so far in the spring.
I thought we'd be having a different conversation. But yeah, like you're saying, this is really not a disaster or totally unpredictable. And it's not like the Iron Pigs coaches are going to pull him aside and be like, all right, think of everything Kevin Long taught you, and now forget it. We're going to do a whole other thing. Down here, we hold the bats by the other ends. All right?
Do they all? Are they all also day drinkers?
They're all wavelength. They're all the same wavelength. And yeah, we don't have to worry. Like, it's not like he's going to lose defense, his like defensive production going down to the minors. He's going to learn how to be a better major leaguer, and hopefully that's what the Phillies get when he comes back. He's not even gone yet.
Right, no, and hey, he may turn it around.
He might turn it around.
He might turn it around.
Still lots of time.
They're not going to send him down before the end of spring training, so it's just kind of a status report.
It seems like this. If this is where we're at, and Rob Thompson's using phrases like, what did he say?
Work in progress. Yeah.
Which, hearing that in the context of everything else, I was like, oh, that's kind of devastating. But then thinking about it, when you said it was just like, that might just be something Rob Thompson would say. Like, it's just the phrase that came into his head when he was like, yeah, that guy's not all the way there yet. He's a work in progress. So, again, this was like the one big narrative thread in Phillies camp. This is not a huge disaster if it goes the way we're saying it will.
Especially since they got Whit Merrifield. I think that certainly gives you the comfort level to go ahead and send him down if you need to. I want to talk quickly about Taijuan Walker, who missed the first part of camp due to personal reasons. And then when he came back, his knee was balky, is the baseball term we use for it, when the knee is not feeling good when you're pitching. And so they shut him down for a little bit. But instead of having him do some like live BP and all that kind of stuff, they threw him into a game over the weekend. And Taijuan Walker was averaging 89.4 miles an hour on his fastball. Now, back in 1986, that would have been just fine. Unfortunately, it's 30 years later, and that fastball won't play. And we're already talking about a guy whose velocity was all over the place last year. It was like 92 miles an hour in May. It was 90 miles an hour in June. It was up to 94. From one start to the next, it went from 90 to 94 miles an hour. I mean, I remember one story last year, where he was like, oh, you know what? If I go out and I shag flies in the outfield, now I'm in better shape, and I can throw harder when I'm on the... I bought it for a minute and then realized, okay, that's a load of hogwash. Because he was back down to 91.
Walker's been kind of a quiet little thread of drama.
Weirdo.
Yes, he has been.
Here, right?
Yes, he has been.
It's never been super big headline news, but there's always just been something in the background going on with him, whether it's bad luck, bad performance, complaining about usage.
It was like that with the Mets too. It was always he's just one of those players where there's always something. There's always something.
And in fairness, there is always something for any player.
So there's no criticism
just out of your
there.
Control.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it just feels like anytime he comes up, it's like, never quite a disaster. He never quite overtakes things. It's not like he's flipping tables over or anything, but it's just like,
right.
What's going on now? What's the latest?
Yeah. Well, and I think what you have to worry about is is this guy going to be able to start the season with this team? Is he going to? And if so, how effective is he as the number 4 or the number 5 starter? Because they don't have a lot of depth. I mean, again, Mick Abel looked good today, but he's not ready for the majors. Spencer Turnbull is probably your next man up, which, okay, I think looked decent this spring. He has a history of being a good major league pitcher. He's thrown a no-hitter. Maybe he's passed all the injuries of the last 2 years, and it looks like he's got some good velocity on his fastball. So, maybe Spencer Turnbull surprises if Taijuan Walker can't go. But my main question is, what's the concern level about this final spot in the Phillies rotation? Because right now, I think Walker's the 5. And we talk about Chris Sanchez being the 5. I don't think Chris Sanchez is the 5 right now. There's more of a reliability on the part of Chris Sanchez than I think Taijuan Walker at the moment. So what, Liz, is your confidence level? How are you feeling about Taijuan Walker? Do you think he makes the season? Do you think he starts the season in the starting rotation? Because honestly, I don't think he's going to start the season in the starting rotation.
I agree. I think I don't think the Phillies were all that high on Walker after they signed him. I think this has just sort of been like a slowly deflating balloon over time. And I think, you know what I mean? it's just sort of always gotten a little worse and worse. If they had been making any solid plans to include Walker, if they had made only this plan, I would be surprised. I don't think that they feel like they can depend on Walker at all. I mean, what they did to him at the end of last year, I think they left him off the roster. If they didn't, he was
on the roster and then just didn't play him.
He just did not play. I think that is an indication of how they feel, and coming into camp with a bulky knee already is just, I don't think it's good. Whatever it is they do next, they're stacking up a replacement for him that's permanent. It was his contract for 3 years.
Yeah, so it's 2 more years. I think it's this year and next year, isn't it? Or is it a 4-year deal? So he's got 3 more years, I think.
My God. All right.
Well, this is where the depth comes in. This is right? Like, this is
why rich people. This is why rich people own teams, because sometimes this money goes to waste,
I mean, at least they didn't pay Marietta money.
It was good money, though.
Yeah, it was. And at the time, it was the kind of deal that they were supposed to be making. And, they made it. But he has not really filled that role, as small as it's been. And how clear the Phillies kind of were with their feelings about him last year.
Yeah.
It is kind of tough to imagine. I mean, he said today when they asked, like, hey, man, that was a sub-90 fastball you were throwing out there. And he was like, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm typically at.
I expect that. It's not unexpected.
So I started late, and you're like, okay, all right. So, like, you kind of just standing there nodding. It's the same thing with Rojas, where you're like, yeah, so there's been enough time for me to start having thoughts. But I guess we can't reach a conclusion yet, especially with your story having excuses I'm not really going to look into. So we'll ride that for now, but it just, the vibes-wise, kind of starting to feel a little messy at the back of the Phillies rotation.
Right. And I think that's it. The vibes are not great there, but it certainly, I don't think, is worth... it's not going to motivate the Phillies to jump in to get one of those 2 starting pitchers that are still out there. I mean, that Blake Snell to the Yankees has to happen with Garrett Cole having some issues. Yeah.
If Taijuan Walker shows up with a bulky knee and the Phillies are like, we have to get Blake Snell. Like,
or Jordan Montgomery.
This is the only response possible. That would be crazy. We don't have to. Right, everybody. We don't have to jump to that.
That's not happening. All right.
Right.
All right. Any other spring training thoughts you guys want to get to before we jump into the team snake draft? I mean, it's been I think it's just kind of been rolling along. They're not winning really a whole lot. They're just not hitting a whole lot. But again, these are established major league stars, and it's spring. And if they were hitting great, we would be saying, don't believe it. Just wait till all this is kind of fake and all that kind of stuff. But
do they still have just 2 Grand Slams?
Yeah, the 2 Grand Slams, Cody Clemens and Edmundo Sosa.
Yeah. Okay, for some reason I felt like, oh man, they're hitting a lot of grand. But they're hitting like I'm on the upper side of home runs, so they're not without one of their chief identifiers.
True.
But I also want to say, he hasn't really made a lot of noise this spring, but Scott Kingery stole that base today in the 9th as part of that rally to try and win, and that was a really well stolen base. All he did was he just outran the throw, and it was a fantastic throw. Ben Davis told me it was, and he just got in there, like that. He just beat the defense on the play, and it was very cool. Yeah, he was still fast, still got his legs.
You're like me last year. I was kind of tooting the Scott Kingery horn. I thought he was going to make the roster.
Why not?
Yeah,
as far as spring training thoughts go, I mean, I'm right there with you. It's
somebody fun to watch.
They're not winning as much as they wanted to. They've probably tied more than most teams. They have 3 ties. Yeah. And none of the guys you were really hoping to see, not one of the main starters is really coming out hot, which you're not really allowed to get concerned about. So here we are. Wheeler looks great. Nola looks great. Abel looked fun today. Strom looked great. And then
Suarez looks really good too. Ranger Suarez looks fantastic.
Yeah, really. For as little as the offense has shown up on occasion, the pitching has really been fun to watch.
All the bullpen guys look good too. Yeah. So that's good. That's encouraging. And that's the stuff that's the more important thing, because I think the bats will come around at some point.
They always do.
Right. They always do. They always do at some point. And hopefully it's not till we don't have to wait till August this time around, but All right. I have in my hand 3 little paper balls. These have our names on them. And we're going to do our team rankings snake draft. We do this every year. We're going to pick teams in the order in which, like our power rankings to start off the season. And then at the end of the year, we will tally up the win totals and playoff appearances, and we'll assign values to all these different things, I think. I don't know if maybe we may not care enough to do that, which is just our power ranking of the teams, but this is more out of tradition than anything else. So it's also.
So does Liz get anything for winning last year? Does Liz?
Yeah, what should we get Liz for? What should we get you, Liz?
That she won?
Do I get something? Wow.
I mean, do we just want to let her pick her spot? Or
listeners, yeah. Do you want to do that, Liz? Do you want to pick your spot?
Yes, because I guess that'll be easy. I don't care where I go. I don't think I went first, second, or third. I don't remember where I went last time. I don't think where we go in this 3-person draft matters all that much.
It matters a lot. It matters a lot.
These are just National League teams, right?
We can do just National League. I was going to open it up to the whole of baseball.
Well, I was going to say, if it's just the National League, then I would say where you're picking matters very much, because there are 2 teams, and then there's a steep drop-off.
Well, I would say even in the majors, that's true. If you open up to the majors, like the Braves and the Dodgers are like just, and then everything else is way well underneath them. So that's why I was thinking, let's open it up to the whole of baseball.
If it's just National League, I think this might not be worth doing.
All right. Well, here I'm gonna just pick. I'll pick randomly, and Liz, we'll get you a pony or something. We'll get you something nice.
I didn't get a pony when I won in year 1, but we'll talk about it off air.
Yeah, we'll talk about it off air. I know. I still owe you the pony. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. Money's been tough here, buddy. Liz goes first. Luck of the draw. So she'll get to pick first. I got this paper, and I promise I don't know the order of these. Let's see, we got this one here.
I'll just say here that ponies are free if you can catch one, so just keep that in mind.
We're going camping in Chickateague, and they have like wild horses at Chickateague. It's like a state park in Virginia.
It's like you're trying to offend me, like you're going to.
I'll take pictures and show you what could be yours, but won't be. Justin is next, and so I'm third. All right, so Liz and Justin will decide whether or not which order the Braves and Dodgers will be selected here, and then I'll get the.
That's pretty easy.
I'll get the scrap. So Liz, fire away. Pick number 1.
I mean, I'm picking the Dodgers. I think only a brain dead person would do that. They're better than the Braves. They're better than the Braves. They're better than every other team.
Explain your reasoning why you think the Dodgers are good this year.
It involves a lot of numbers, a lot of charts, a lot of graphs.
Yeah.
I did a lot of surveys.
Pacoda has the Dodgers as 0.3 of a game better than the Braves only. So,
when was the last time Pacoda made a correct prediction?
I don't know. You're just making it sound like the Braves are going to win like 85 games or something.
No, I don't think they're going to win. I mean, they don't play the Dodgers in their division, so they're definitely going to win more than 85 games. So,
doesn't everybody play the same amount of games against everybody now?
Yeah, it's a balanced schedule.
Yeah, but don't we all still play more games within our division than anyone? Then divisions don't matter. Oh, well,
not anymore. Yeah. We're moving towards a conference versus conference setup at some point here in Major League Baseball, which
you will be assimilated, Elizabeth.
Yeah, I guess so.
Get ready. Resistance is futile. Justice, your turn.
Picking the Braves.
Picking the Braves. You want to analyze that, or are you good with just I'm picking the Braves? Okay, good.
Well, I just think that 0.3 of a win worse is just setting them up to solar winds.
Solar winds.
So I'll pick the team that I think is going to, at the end of the day, end up being the best team in the American League. And the American League is kind of a tricky league right now because I don't think they have a far and away best bet. I'll take the Astros because I do think they're going to probably end up at the end of the day. They always do, rising to the top. I'm not a big believer in the Rangers repeating that division. The AL East, they're just going to beat up on each other. It's such a tough division. So I'll take the Astros with my first pick, and then I get a second pick here. And here's where I'm going to take the Phils. I'll take the Phillies. I think they are the third best team by far in the National League, and I think they're as good as any other team in the American League right now. So those are my 2. Justin, you're next.
And I just get 1.
You get 1.
Okay. I guess. Well, the good news about these is that you make your picks and then don't really think about it. So
correct.
Never again, really.
If I did pick the Yankees and I had the Braves and Yankees, they would just become a number anyway. That's not about who you pick.
You're trying to justify this. It's
I'm going to pick the
amazing.
Yankees. Yeah, I'm going to pick the Yankees.
You better hope that Garrett Cole MRI comes back all right.
I will be thinking about it nonstop.
I know. Try and get some sleep tonight, okay?
Nonstop.
Hey, Garrett, just checking in. Just me riding like a painter's platform up to his hospital window.
It makes all the sense in the world. All right, Liz, 2 for you now.
And I believe all of the good teams have been selected now, correct?
There are other playoff teams available, I believe.
I'll take the Orioles.
Yep.
I'll take the Orioles. Yep. I will take the Orioles.
So-
I think, yeah.
Is everybody buying into the Orioles again this year? Is like having I mean, they've got a lot of really good talent. No doubt about it.
Not really personally, but
You're not really?
not really personally. I mean, I'm waiting until the new owner takes over and they fire the guy in charge right now and hire someone who actually wants to spend some money. Because that's the only way the team's actually going to conceivably get better, because they did pretty much a Zippo this offseason.
They got
The
Corbin
trade,
Burns.
Corbin Burns.
Oh, Corbin
was a pretty
Burns.
good.
I did forget about Corbin Burns. I was just thinking about signings.
I mean, I agree with you. I think free agent signings they didn't do a lot, but
No,
the
they
Corbin
didn't.
Burns trade was a
Yeah, I did
monumental
forget
move for
about
them.
I still
The last thing the Orioles should be doing is signing mid-range free agents, because every time they do, they start overperforming, and then they're like, well, now what do? We got these 10 prospects, we got these 3 new guys, and we can't swing a trade, and suddenly they have all these players that they want to give playing time. I think where the Orioles are struggling right now is they have been absolutely decimated by injury in their pitching staff. Losing Kyle Brandish is on the 60-day injured list, but only because that's like the only injured list you can put a player on right now. And John Means is like out for a long time.
Yeah.
So their rotation took 2 big hits. So I think that's totally fair. Corbin Burns can't like carry all of that. He can't pitch 2 or 3 times through the rotation. But like, I'm still expecting them to be a very good team. They have a bunch of young players who all were very good together, and then gained a year of experience together going into the postseason.
You're right. Logically, they should be even better this year. And I guess because they're all so new and so young, and they weren't household names till last year. Like, was that real? Did what we see? Because they came out of nowhere and just shocked everybody by how good they were. So I guess that's kind of my natural instinct, is to be like, well, are they really that good? But we'll get a good look at them this year, and they are still going to be good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. Liz, your next team.
Oh, I have to choose another team now. Great.
You do.
Who do I choose?
Well, if I told you who to choose, it would not be helpful.
It would not be helpful at all.
Pirates.
The Pirates.
White Sox are looking like
Aren't
it's
they
time to...
just? I don't want to pick another
time to get out
AL
of
East
bed.
team, but do I like any other team to do well? No. So I think I'll pick the Rays.
Okay. So 3 AL East teams here in the top 7, which, does make some sense. The AL East is absolutely stacked this year. Justin, your third team now.
I will go with the Blue Jays.
That was going to be my pick. I think they're the second best team and third best team in that division. I probably have them above the Rays, but that's going to be close. They're all going to be pretty much doing the same thing. So now here I'm looking at, like, if you've got like the national, if you're looking over at the National League now, like, who is number 4 in the National League? That's because the Marlins made the playoffs last year, but they haven't done anything to make themselves better in the offseason.
No.
I have them more ranked in tiers than team by team, especially now because of the situation you're describing. There's enough teams that, like Dakota puts the Cardinals as winning that division, which I'm finding a hard time buying. So there really is just kind of like a mess of different X factors are going to allow one of these NL Central teams or 2 of these NL Central teams to really make things interesting down the line, and all of them except the Pirates really have a shot at doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, and that's why. So, like, there's a bunch of teams that could get into the wild card at like 86 to 88 wins here.
Cubs.
I think the Cubs are a team that I'm considering. I think there's a team that's going to have a bounce back year this year. I think the Padres everything that could go wrong for them last year went wrong for them last year. I think they'll be better. They lost Juan Soto. But
But
they
what
still
was
have
he really contributing at that last year anyway?
He was great, but I mean, they still have a lot of talent in that lineup. I mean, that lineup is still pretty well loaded, and they still have Yu Darvish at the front of it. I don't think the Diamondbacks are going to have a repeat performance of last year, although I think the D-backs are decent. But they got a lot of guys playing over their heads last year. Corbin Carroll's awesome, no doubt about it. Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly are both really good, and they'll get picked. The D-backs will be one of the teams we discuss here in a minute, but I have the Padres over them for right now. And then I'll take the Rangers. I'll take the defending champs. It's hard to believe you say the Rangers, the defending champs, but the Rangers, the defending champs, I'll take them as my fourth team right now. We're gonna go 6 deep. We'll each make 6 picks, so we'll do like 15 teams total. All right, Justin, for you.
I guess I'll. Yeah. Now that we're down here, I kind of was thinking you were going to pick the Cubs.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to make this easier for me.
Threw you a curveball.
I'm gonna go with the Mariners. I think actually, I like the Mariners, and they are at the very least. I think they are projected to win more games than the Cubs at the very least. So, I have no faith in the Centrals as organizations at this point. I really feel like they should
they're all
shut
jokes.
down professionally.
They're all jokes. One of the, there's going to be a team that wins each one of those divisions, but I couldn't tell you who they're going to be sitting here right now.
Who did the Brewers even get to be their new manager? Does anyone know?
They're playing without one this year.
It's, it's of course muddy.
They went from a team that everyone was like, they're always going to make the playoffs too. Who?
Yeah.
Why, it's Pat Murphy, of course.
Of course, Pat Murphy.
A man who, when you Google him, you get a picture of Craig Counsell.
Is he Irish, I wonder? Pat Murphy.
Spectacular.
Is it possible he celebrates St. Patrick's Day a little bit more than we do?
I'll tell you what he definitely is. The manager of the Milwaukee Brewers.
That is the most Milwaukee Brewers manager I can imagine. That team is...
I really would love to be in on the Brewers again. They seem like a perfectly non-agitating situation. And then, that's the word I was looking for.
They are
and
Milwaukee.
Then the whole Craig Counsell thing goes down, and you're like, boy,
why did we like them?
They're going to say they're okay, but they are not okay. And like their owner's comments were like, "We're fine. Shut up about it." And you're like, oh, okay. So this is going to be a great season for Milwaukee. All right, fantastic.
They are so much like their city. Milwaukee's a nice city. If you go there, it's a very lovely city, but it's not a destination. And you don't really remember Milwaukee when you think of big cities in America. It's like, oh, have you been to Milwaukee though? No one ever says that, but it's a great city. It's a really fun city, and the Brewers have been kind of like that these last few years.
You spend more than a week in Wisconsin, and you immediately realize why they have the highest per capita beer consumption of any state in the union.
You need it. You do. There's no doubt. Yep. All right, Liz, 2 for you.
I'm taking Diamondbacks.
There are the D-backs.
No one has taken them right.
It's a good value play there.
I've said that very confidently and was like, wait, did I miss it?
I'm going to take the Braves and Yankees, man. I'm not taking the D-backs too. I can't, my picks can't handle that much demoralization.
All right, the D-backs to Liz, and you get one more here, Liz. Second to last pick.
Are there any other teams left?
Remember, you picked 2 in a row on your turns.
I know. Yes, I do know that. I will take... I can't take a central team. I can't. I will take the Marlins.
Okay. The Miami Marlins to Elizabeth. All right, Justin, another one for you.
I will take the Cubs.
Yep. I was going to go there. I was going to go to the Cubs there, but that's a good selection.
I mean, we just did a whole segment bashing the Brewers, so I was not going to take them. And after that, not sure what else to do.
Just go ahead and take them. All right, so for me, I'm trying to think of some of these central teams, because there are going to be teams that win these central divisions. I do like the Cubs to win the National League Central, probably. A lot of people are talking about the Reds. Reds have the best pitching staff. They're a lot of fun, but they have a really good pitching staff. I'm not I'm not going there.
No.
I will take the Cardinals here. I think I don't love what they did this offseason with kind of the milquetoast starters they got, but they got good starters. They're good starting pitchers. I don't know that they're going to win a lot of playoff games, but
they're fine.
You've still got Goldschmidt.
Middling
Yeah,
is generous.
It's fine, and Goldschmidt and Arenado will probably help them have a bounce back year this year. So I think that's for my second to last pick. Cardinals there, I think is a pretty good one. And I'm going to take. Go ahead.
That's the whole situation that we're not going to rebuild because we have Arenado and Goldschmidt, and then like you said, the pitching acquisitions in St. Louis were all like, this is exactly what a rebuilding team would do. What's going on? And then projections came out like, well, they win the Central. And you're like, yeah, you know what? Probably it's the Cardinals.
It's the Cardinals and it's the Central. There's just not a juggernaut in there. And I'm going to go over to the American League Central, and I'll tell you, I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a surprise team. I'm trying to think who would win that. I think it's going to be the Royals will win the American League Central this year. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to have a crazy good season.
This is a bit.
I think it's not a bit.
This is not a bit. Oh,
no,
oh, wow.
I'm taking the Royals to win the American League Central. I think
this
the Royals
one we're not forgetting
to win. It's going to take like 86 wins to win the Central. I'm not saying they're going to win 100 games or anything, but I mean they have the look of a team that actually could win that division. I think they've got enough offense there.
Look of a team that lost how many games last year? 100 and something.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I mean,
I'm taking the Royals.
A team
106.
A team full of children also has the look of a team. Like they could win. Any team could win. A llama could win.
You're putting your faith in JJ Piccolo.
JJ Piccolo, man, that was a
just
hire.
Wait and see. Just wait and see.
Making the decisions out there.
I still cannot believe that.
You already picked it. We're not.
I'm not taking it back.
No.
Yeah, and here's
I'm
the
not
thing.
taking it. I don't want you to take it back. I like
it.
it.
Nor
I
is
like
he
my
asking
pick.
for that.
You have now ensured that we will not forget about this.
I like that they gave that they were like a small team that gave their young star a huge deal this winter. I thought that was very cool. You always want to see that. As far as anything else, no, nothing else there. But hey. Have some faith in a lower projected team. I like that a lot. Am I picking my last team?
Yes,
now?
this is your last one. Yeah.
All right, then I'm going to. I'm gonna pick the Tigers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's what I thought John was going to say. I don't expect them to be like really good, and this is more sentimental than anything because honestly, the Twins and Guardians are better picks as far as racking up wins. But I was kind of giving the Tigers the side eye last year. I think I wrote a preview for them or an essay about them and kind of learned, dug into their situation a little more, and they were waiting for two young guys to turn the corner, and one of them got hurt again, and it hasn't really come to be. But I'm more just kind of want to throw them in there because a lot of my teams I picked are pretty reprehensible.
After like the top
I'll
four,
throw
it's bad.
I'll throw in a feel-good underdog story just to lighten things up in there.
Well, that's the reason I picked the Royals. My team before that was so good. I wanted to have a team that you guys thought was a bottom feeder to just help you feel a little bit better about the heading into the season. So that's. I did that for you guys.
That's so stupid. The Detroit Tigers for me.
That's right. That's right. Liz, it's your turn. Last one.
All right. I am also, for some reason, looking at the AL Central, which before John's pick.
Somebody's got to win it.
Does anybody pick the Mets?
No.
By the way?
No.
I thought about it a few times. But I couldn't do it. They just have no dedication to win it. They don't seem to want to win. They don't seem to want to exist. The Mets are sort of an accident this year, it feels.
It is interesting that Steve Cohen went so hard, so fast.
And it went so
wrong. And then
wrong.
in 1 year was like, I'm done.
It blew up in his face so big that he actually watched the money burn. He watched it burn as he watched the guy's head to the injured list.
It scarred him for life. It's like, wait, this is what spending in baseball is like? I'm not doing that. That was the dumbest idea ever.
I gotta bet that the owners that were against him owning the Mets. There is at least one. I know there was a faction at one point, but I know they have to be laughing. They have to be laughing like you thought you were going to come in here and just swinging freely, doing everything you want. Nope. Now you've gotten hit in the face. I'm going to take the Guardians.
Sorry, everybody. I tried to mute my microphone there, and I did not do it successfully. So I apologize for the coughing there. Guardians for you, right, Liz?
Yes, indeedy.
All right. Yeah, I mean, somebody's got to win the AL Central. They're going to have to give it to somebody. So it's going to be one of the teams. Could it be? May not be any of the teams we mentioned. Royals, Tigers, Guardians. But here are the teams. Liz has the Dodgers, Orioles, Rays, D-backs, Marlins, and Guardians. Justin has the Braves, Yankees, Blue Jays, Mariners, Cubs, and Tigers. And I have the Astros, Phillies, Padres, Rangers, Cardinals, and Royals. And those are our teams.
I think mine's the most balanced, honestly. If I'd picked the Twins, I think I would probably have the strongest overall lineup.
Yeah. You've kind of turned me on my Royals pick a little bit.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The fact that we just spent like 5 minutes crapping on it,
Please have positive thoughts about smaller market teams that have been struggling. I think that is only a good thing. Let's get invested in them.
Yeah, I want to get crushed just like every Kansas City Royals fan. That's exactly what I want to have happen.
You know what? They have the Chiefs. They're fine.
They do. They're fine. Nobody cares about Kansas City. There's no issues there whatsoever.
Yeah, they're fine.
All right, Liz, we're going to wrap up with our Where Are They Now segment. So who do we have left that we can talk about? I don't have the list.
A great question. We've got Larry Christensen, Larry Colton, Greg Harris, Kurt Simmons, Fred Wenz, Frank Thomas, Dave Watkins, and Wayne Graham.
Let's do Frank Thomas.
I was thinking the same thing.
Hey, all right.
My little tagline for him is Frank Thomas. No, not that Frank Thomas.
There are actually a couple Frank Thomases.
There are.
That was just, that's right. Yeah, but yeah, then okay. Go ahead.
All right, give me just a second. I have to. Here he is. All right.
Is this the Dick Allen Frank Thomas?
We're going to find out.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
I asked that when the list was originally published, and we couldn't answer it.
No, I can't.
There was. I think these guys have mostly been around like the eras that this guy, I think, would have been the one who got in the fight with Dick Allen. He started the fight with Dick Allen.
Correct. Started the fight with Dick Allen. Yes. That's correct.
All right. Frank Thomas. He played for the Phillies, Pirates, Reds, Braves, Cubs, Astros, and Mets. He was born in 1929 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He is an infielder. He had a 16-year major league career, 266 average, 286 home runs. He spent 2 years with the Phillies and made his major league debut in 1951. All right. This veteran slugger, who smacked at least 10 homers in 13 seasons, including 34 with the 62 Mets, was dealt to the Phillies in exchange for pitcher Gary Kroll and outfielder Wayne Graham on August 7th, 1964. The impact of the deal was immediately felt as Frank Thomas instilled new life into the team, hitting nearly 300 with 7 home runs and 26 RBI in 39 games. But the Phillies' pennant hopes took what many thought was a fatal turn. When Thomas fractured his right thumb sliding back into second base in a 3-2 loss to the Dodgers on September 8th. The Phils were still 6 games ahead in the National League standings, but his injury was clearly the beginning of the end. People always say that Gene Mauch pushed the panic button by pitching Jim Bunning and Chris Short with 3 days rest, since he had Art Mahaffey, Ray Culp, and Dennis Bennett on the team, Thomas said. But not too long ago, I was at an event with Gene, and he pointed to me and my injury when someone asked him what happened to the 64 Phillies. I was playing very well and hitting some homers, driving in a lot of runs. The team had begun to falter a little bit, but after I got hurt, it went downhill fast. Frank Thomas broke into the major leagues with a bang in his first full season in 1953, smacking 30 home runs and driving in 102, while hitting .255. He followed with at least 23 homers for each of the next 5 seasons, including a career-high 35 in 1958 with 109 RBIs. When he wasn't hitting homers and driving in runs, this powerful outfielder first baseman would bet all comers he could catch the hardest throw barehanded and reportedly never lost any of those bets. Ow.
Yeah, relax, Frank.
Seriously.
There's easier ways to make money, boo.
After the Phillies' near miss in 1964, Thomas was placed on waivers by the club after a confrontation with Dick Allen. Ironically, Thomas hit a pinch hit home run to win his final game with the Phillies. He played with the Astros and Braves as well in 1965 before finishing up with the Cubs in 1966. After baseball, Thomas worked for the ICM School of Business until his retirement in 1984. The friendly and engaging former ballplayer still lives in his native Pittsburgh and enjoys making baseball-related appearances, though presumably none with Dick Allen.
Yeah, he just drove right on past that Dick Allen incident, didn't he?
Yeah, boy, I didn't want to break that down
Nope,
at all. I was happy to make a snide little joke about it at the end, but did not want to dig into that.
No, that was me. I was saying that. That was not
okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought my tone of voice conveyed that appropriately. It did not. He did not say that. That was all me. I'm the one who added the line about Dick Allen.
So they got in that fight in the batting cage, and Frank Thomas famously picked up a bat for that fight. And he also, accounts have varied what exactly he said, but he said something pretty racial at him, to Dick Allen. And later he had to go on this PR tour essentially because the Phillies released him, and the fans still liked him.
Baseball again.
The fans still liked him and viewed him as the victim because Dick Allen still had a job, and Frank Thomas was like, "Oh, I'm out on the street," blah, blah. And also he had extended an apology to Dick Allen, and Dick Allen was like, "No." And people were like, "Why won't you accept his apology?" And Dick Allen was like, "Because I'm still mad." Yeah. And that now we're like, yeah, fair enough. That sounds like a pretty BS situation that this guy definitely, wasn't used to accountability for making the kind of comments he clearly made a lot. And this is how it happened. This is how it went down. So it was really ugly and gross. And now every time I think of Frank Thomas and, as a Phillies player, as this ball player, it's just, this is the only thing you think about because it was boom.
Yeah. Frank Thomas passed away in January of 2023. But he lived into his 90s. So he was around for quite a while. But yeah, I'm looking on his Wikipedia page. They barely referenced the Dick Allen fight too. So somebody needs to get in there and start, editing that thing. But yeah, I mean, it's funny. He was a good player. I mean, but he wasn't as good as Dick Allen, and that is one of those incidents where there's still just a lot of clouds around it. It's not really, there's certainly. It's certainly pretty clear, that it was that Frank Thomas said something to Dick Allen that was completely inappropriate, and then he hit him on the shoulder with a bat. You know what I mean, right? Isn't that what happened? So
he got scared. What I really enjoy is that Dick Allen did not pick anything up. All he did was use his words, and Frank Thomas was so freaked out that he picked up a bat. I'll say this much: not every person can get someone else afraid just by words. Dick Allen seems like one of those guys.
I love Dick Allen.
Oh my God, yes. We are a pro Dick Allen podcast.
Yeah, we're not taking Frank Thomas. You're not getting any benefit of the doubt here
on
that. But I did want to learn a little bit more about him because obviously his name is fairly well known because of the Dick Allen incident, and so that was.
We don't have to wonder what happened to Dick Allen.
No,
the whole
Dick
point
Allen
is we
no
wonder
longer
what
with
happened
us.
to this guy. So
that's right, Dick Allen.
just Dick Allen's legacy in Philadelphia, with the Phillies and everything.
Right, exactly. All right, let's wrap this podcast up here, guys, with some final thoughts. Justin, any final thoughts, buddy?
Not really, but in the month ahead, we're going to start doing Absolutely Hammered on the Patreon once a week. So that is something patrons can look forward to if you are someone who goes to that site and pays us $5.
Patreon.com/Hittin season.
Swears and all, everybody.
Yeah.
Wednesdays, like you're in a bar, but anywhere.
That's right. You could take it to a bar and just put it on speaker, and everyone would love it if you did that.
I'm hoping they invite
but if
me
your
on
friends
this
have
season.
reached out and are like, "Hey, come hang out with us," you should do that instead. We're not replacing it for an actual social circle.
Correct. Liz, final thoughts from you.
I also don't have much in my brain.
Okay.
Check out sports.yahoo.com. We've got the NFL. What is it? What's happening now? The tampering
free
period.
agency.
Free agency on Wednesday. We have got the best coverage you will find anywhere. And if you search NFL free agency on the internet, you will almost certainly find Yahoo in your first 3 results. The things that my colleagues and coworkers have been working very hard on. So come check it out if you are confused. I also wrote about Bryce Huff today, the Eagles' new defensive end. Those are things that I remember that I wrote about today.
All right. Good list of things. So, yeah, go on over sports.yahoo.com. And that, folks, will do it for this episode of Hittin' Season. And want to remind you all, BillyPenn.com is our home for Hittin' Season. And we've got a landing page there where you can see all the blogs that we write that go along with the podcast. It's BillyPenn.com/Hittin' Season. You can read my stuff at Billy Penn, Justin's stuff at Billy Penn, and my stuff over at The Good Fight as well, Justin at Baseball Prospectus. So lots of different ways that you can get a hold of our content, especially as we are getting ready for the start of the regular season in just a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll talk to you next time right here on Hittin' Season.